am super excited for this one because I am going to be demoing this amazing free tool that will help you optimize your bids. So what I'm going to be doing in this video is showing you a walkthrough on how you will go and set it up, how you can use the tool to optimize your bids, a couple of more advanced features. So let's dive into this one. A huge shout out and thank you to Brett from FBAexcel. He has some amazing tools. So if you are looking for super advanced options that will leverage the power of bulk files, something I talk about a lot on this channel, I highly suggest you go through and you check him out. I will put a link in the description. There's going to be a lot of things linked in the description of this particular video. So the thing that I'm going to be going through today is this particular tool that I have in front of me right now, which is the PPCDominator. Now, this is the pro version. There's a couple really sweet extra options in this particular pro version. It is a paid version of the tool, but you can get the basic core awesome sauce that this tool provides when it comes to bid optimization. To do is, of course, go and download this particular tool, which I have done. It is on my computer. You will see this pop up when you open up the file. Now, this is a Google Sheets tool. It uses a lot of macros, which is awesome because less things for us to have to do. Anytime you can leverage the power of computers, then it's a win in my book. So you're going to want to go through and you're going to upload this, or you're going to make a copy of it and you're going to save it to your Google Drive, and you can then open up this inside of Google Sheets, all right? And when you open up this tool, what you're going to see is this unlock PPCDominator. Now you're going to need a password. As of right now, this password is 1234, but I suggest you look, see it says enter the password from the members area. So you can go create a member account for free, and you'll just see what the members area password is, and you'll click OK. Now we can access this tool. All right. So you're going to see this is going to be the main dashboard and the thing that is going to be up when we first enter the tool. And let's go through a couple of things we're going to be walking through step by step. So the first thing is going to be making sure this particular sheet is authorized so we're able to run the scripts that are needed. Now, there are these two logins. To my knowledge, these should be by default. It says go to member settings, authorize an account to complete. So you can go check it. I do believe that these ones are entered in here, so that should be fine. You should just need that password to get the tool started. And then this upload folder ID right here is going to be, this is going to be where the particular output file is going to be. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be getting our bulk file. We're going to be putting it into this tool. This tool is going to work its magic. We're going to put in some parameters. And at the very end of it, what it's going to do is it's going to create a an output file for us, which we can then go and upload onto Amazon, and it'll update our bids for us. I'm going to show you how you're going to snag the folder ID now. All right, so here we are in the folder, and this is just one that I have created in my Google Drive account. And by the way, Google Drive accounts are free. This particular tool will need access to your Google Drive account or in your other Google parts of your Google account. So if you would like, it's possible just to go create a completely free separate Gmail to like run this process on, or you're more than welcome to just use it in whatever like Google Drive accounts you've been using it on. And so what you're going to do is this little thing right here, this little special tag code thing, that is the upload folder ID. So those are your folder IDs, and you will just want to go and copy and paste that one in there. Once it's done, golden, awesome. Now we need to go through and we need to authorize this. All right. So every single time you create a copy of a any sort of sheet with a particular macro, what you need is you need to authorize this particular sheet. Now, this is something you only have to do once. So these particular functions, like entering in the Excel login, the password, upload folder ID, authorizing, those functions we only have to do one single time, and then every single other time it's already inputted for us. So what you're going to want to do is click this authorize. It's going to run a script. and it's going to authorize, and we'll hit continue. Then it's going to sign into our account. It's going to look at a couple of things. You're just going to choose the account that you're on, which for me is this one. And then we're going to go to advanced. And then all the way down, you're going to go to it's going to say unsafe. That just means that you haven't gone through the trouble of going and authorizing it with Google. No one ever does. And it's going to ask for access to a particular thing. That's just so it can view certain things. And so it can actually create the output file for us, which is an awesome sauce extra step that, trust me, you're going to absolutely love. Now that we've gone through, we've authorized the file, and we've done our initial setup stuff, what we need to do is we need to get our bulk file. Now, there's a couple different ways that you can do this, so I'm going to walk you through. If you do not see a menu option, you can click on this. It will enable the menu. You may have to enter the password again, which is fine. You'll often see these little pop-ups that'll say, give you some additional information. But once this script is authorized, all right, there we go. So here you have the PPCDominator, and again, this is the pro version. There's a couple little extra tidbits that are super sweet, and I'll go over a couple of them in this video. This gives you just like a basic rundown. So we authorized the account, already did that. Now this is an onboarding. This is only going to apply to the pro version because, again, there's some awesome super extra stuff that we can do when it comes to SKU level stuff. So the power of this particular sheet is we can actually set individual bid parameters at a SKU level versus having to set them of an overall account level, like we're going to walk through for the main portion of this. So if you are interested on like how you would set those versions up, you can watch this onboarding report or watch this video right here. I'm not going to go through that because it won't pertain to the free version. But if you were going to use that particular version, you would want to perform these 1, 2, 3 processes. And then you would sync the SKU dashboard, which should be covered in the video. All right, so for this next portion, now that this is like kind of the onboarding section, this is the first things first. Again, if you don't have the pro version, just use this authorized account, which we did through this button. It's kind of like 2 different places to put it. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to get our bulk file. So there's a couple ways. There is a quick link in this particular sheet. What you can do is you can simply click this, and providing you are logged into your Amazon account, it's going to take you straight to the bulk file tab, and you can do it easy peasy. Now, one thing to note is for accounts like mine, where I have access to quite a few different accounts, it's not always going to log me into the exact account I want. If you are using it for your own account, fine, click the button. That's the easiest way to do it. But if you are looking, like if you have access to a couple different accounts, what you can do is you can simply go to Amazon, and I'm going to log on. So this is on Seller Central right here. I simply went to the sponsored ads and clicked on bulk operations, and you would simply request and download the file. If you click that tab, it's gonna take you straight here, which is awesome, shortcut. But otherwise, you could just log into whatever account that you want to generate the file for, and then do it that way. All right. So now we need to request our file. And if you don't know what bulk files are, if you're unsure of requesting them, we do have quite a bit of content on this particular channel on bulk files. There's 2 videos in particular that I recommend you go watch. One is on bulk file basics, and the other one is adjusting bids using a bulk file. I'll put the links down in the description box below. But what you'll want to do is create your spreadsheet for download, and what you'll do is I would suggest for this particular optimization sheet, you either do 30 days or 60 days. And I'll just select 60 days here, and then make sure you uncheck this campaign items with 0 impressions. You want to make sure that's unchecked, and then you'll just click this create spreadsheet for download. It's going to download it here, and then when it's ready, you'll see this download. If it's not really working, if it's taking too long, you can always click refresh, and it should pop up. And sometimes when you go to click this download, like there's an error. I've seen some browsers kind of bug out on that. fine. You can just go click the refresh button, or you can navigate back again to the bulk operations, and then you should see like the date and time that it was generated, if you're kind of unsure like which one it is that you need to download. All right. All right, so once you have your file downloaded, what you want to do is you want to import it into this particular sheet. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna click import, and then we are just going to select our sheet. Now, Brett has some amazing tips that you can use to make this process maybe a little bit simplified. There is a Google desktop app where you can actually essentially view your like Google Drive folders and all like native to your computer in like a file like window, which is pretty awesome actually. However, it gets a bit more complex. So if you are wondering how to do that, highly suggest you go through and watch his videos. But if otherwise, I'm going to be doing it here. All right, so I have this bulk demo file. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to hit select, and then you want to put insert new sheets. All right, so basically you're just going to find that particular file. You can either, I believe you can upload it as well, or you can find it inside of your Google Drive, and then you want to import the file and then new sheets, and you can click import data. This can take a second. So if you are having you have a very, very large file. And by very large file, I mean very, very large file. Particularly this process might generate some issues on your particular account just due to the file size. You should be fine. You should have all three of these four of these particular rows inputted into your sheet. This essentially just grabs that file, makes it a part of this huge, awesome tool. And next we can go through and we can go to the next step. If for some reason this particular doesn't work, or you see that your file size is too large, what you can do is you can actually go to that original file that you have either stored on your desktop or in Google Drive somewhere. You can open it up, and what you would want to do is just delete anything that is not important to adjusting the file. So this would be the brand campaigns tab, and this would be the sponsored display campaigns tab. You can delete those from the file, or you can go through if there's anything archived, you can filter and you can delete that, basically just making the file size much smaller. One thing to note on this particular tool is that currently it just adjusts sponsored product ads. Eventually, or Brett does have some tools that will be able to adjust the sponsored brand and sponsored display ads. However, most people are running majority in sponsored product ads, so I think you still should get a lot of really amazing use out of this tool. Okay, so we have gotten our bulk file, we have imported it into our sheet, and now it is time for next steps. So if we go up to this tab right here, we're going to initialize the bulk file. All right, so let's click this button. It's going to start running a script for us. And when you're running the script, it's pretty important just to leave the thing alone. It's working its awesome magic. And so we don't want to interrupt that. So you should see this running script, and you're just going to let it keep running. And it will. All right, so you're about to initialize your bulk file. So I told you there were some pop-ups. All right. Again, this is just going to work its awesome sauce magic. So you're going to click yes. It's going to go through this process. It is going to copy and paste and do all the awesome special formatting for you so it can make the best use of all of the data here. Put in some extra columns, calculate some stuff. I told you this thing was amazing. All right, so as this thing works its magic, we want to make sure that we are not going to be interrupting it. So you don't want to be clicking around. At the very end of it, you should see like a finished, the script finished little box right here. And then at that point, it will tell you will be ready to move on to the next steps. All right, so initialization is complete. We can click OK. It still says running script, so we want to make sure that we give it enough time to do its thing. But once it is done running, there you go, finished script. You should be able to click around and then see that this particular thing is working. Next step is going to be to optimize the bits. However, we do need to go over and make sure that our optimization settings are in place before we click optimize. Because as of right now, I'm not 100% sure what the optimization settings look like. So it may or may not format our bids the way that we wish. All right. So there are a couple different things I'm going to take you through. Now, this is the Awesomesauce SKU Dashboard. This is not going to be included in the free version, but there are going to be options to set bids at an individual SKU level if you wish. For this particular demonstration, we are just going to be using the bid overrides table. All right. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be walking through basically what this looks like. Now the SKU, this account stuff, this is going to remain the same. This is basically going to be the settings for the entire account. So based on what settings we put here, all of the bids in the entire account are going to be adjusted. Notice that we have this stuff right here. So the spend, sales, ACoS, cost per click, orders, impressions, clicks, conversion rate, and the click-through rate is all being calculated. And this is at the account level. So if you were interested to see like what do my metrics look like for this particular file, I believe this one is 60 days, and you could view all of these numbers here. Now, there is some super sweet additional options that can be used on this particular bid overrides tab in setting individual targets. And so we're going to go through our bid settings right here, but setting individual targets at a keyword level. So there is an awesome video being put out by Adam Heist. He has, if you haven't checked it out, highly suggest you check it out. He has a free keyword dominator tool, which absolutely rocks. And he's also going to be going through how you can take the data from that particular tool and input it into this one and start adjusting bids based on like hyper specific keywords. So I will be linking his video below, as well as his video on the keyword dominator tool. If you would like to get like super ninja with this, I highly suggest you go and look through that. But this, what we're going to be going over now on the bid settings is going to apply to using the keyword tool and any settings that are available on this particular SKU tab. So if you understand this, you will be able to carry over that to individual keywords and SKU level. The difference is going to be you can set maybe more aggressive targets for each individual level. So yes, the settings that you have to input are going to be the same, but it's going to have a hierarchy for it. So if the hierarchy is going to be the keyword is the most important. So if the tool is going through your bulk file and it discovers that individual keyword, what it's going to do is like go through this list and say, oh, they wanted to use these particular parameters for that keyword. If the keyword is not contained within the parameters, then what it's going to do is it's going to check and see if it is a single SKU campaign. So whatever SKUs were inputted here and whatever inputs you have for that individual product. Now, one thing to note is the campaigns have to have one SKU. So if you have campaigns that have more than one SKU in them, it's just going to kick over to the account tab at that point. But if you do have only one product contained within your campaigns, then it's going to use the SKU level data. So if you have a particular product that you only have like single product campaigns for, and you're being hyper specific, you can actually go through and set individual ACoS targets for each individual SKU and be hyper specific with how you're managing those, which again is amazing. But for this demonstration, what we're doing is we are just putting a single target for all of, everything contained within the account. All right. So these are going to be our metrics. Again, if we have anything displayed here, or if you have anything inputted into the SKU dashboard, it's going to display all of your individual metrics for this, which is kind of nice because if you're going through and you're adjusting things, you might want to know like what the current performance is. And then these are the parameters right here. So what it's going to do is we have to set a target ACoS. That basically says what ACoS are we optimizing for in this particular account, all right? So once we have our target ACoS, it's going to go through and it's going to take a look at our our clicks, what are the sales on that particular keyword, and then it's going to look at those relative to the target ACoS, and it's going to perform a revenue per click calculation, and then it's going to adjust those bids. Now we have these two other columns right here that are related to this target ACoS. So there's actually three I guess you could say like individual parameters or three like buckets the keyword performance can fall into. It can either have a ACoS, which is going to be something that actually has sales. It can have clicks with no sales, and in that case, it's going to go over to these two columns, or it can have low or no impressions, and in that case, it is going to fall into these three columns will be used to adjust those. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to set a target ACoS. The thing is going to perform its magic. It's going to adjust for the target ACoS. However, sometimes things get like really high or really low depending on what this calculation is going to be. And so in those particular cases, what the sheet does is it has two, kind of think of them like bumpers in a way, that it's going to check the final calculated bid across. All right. So we have our low bid and we have our max bid. This basically says if you're going to decrease the bid, do not decrease the bid lower than this particular bid right here, which is going to be 5 cents. And then this max bid column is going to adjust, don't increase the bid more than this. All right. So if you're kind of like wondering what any of these are, there are pop-ups that you can use. So if you scroll across this, if you want to look at the low bid, or if you want to look at the max bid, if a calculated bid exceeds this amount, it will automatically be set to this fixed value. If you want to be more aggressive, start with a higher value. So the higher the value of this, the higher potential there is to increase your bids. You can take a look at what the cost per click. So in this particular account, in this particular case, the average cost per click is 19 cents. So going down to 75 cents for our max bid is not super crazy. If you went down to 75 cents in, say, a supplement account, that's not going to get you much places. So what you want to do is take into account like what your particular account looks like, what your cost per clicks are, what you think like your max bid can be. Keep in mind that these bid increases, it can increase it a bit if it's performing well. You might want to do it incrementally. So going through and setting things at a relatively decent max bid should help you there. Now we're going to look at our click limit. So the click limit basically says how many clicks do we want a keyword to get before we deem that it's adequately tested. So if a target has greater than this number of clicks and 0 conversions, the bid would be set to the amount in the adjacent column. So basically set the bid to this. So in this particular case, if I have 11 clicks and I have no sales, it is going to set my bid to 15 cents. All right. All right, so we have a couple different options for our low impressions. So in this particular case, any targets that less number of impressions, but without any conversion. So in this case, we're doing 300. So it has 300 less impressions and 0 conversions. And of course, if it doesn't fall into this particular category with the click limit, it's going to increase the bid. Now there's two ways to do this. One of them, we can use this up bid. So basically just says raise the bid by 2 cents. Let's keep up with the increases. Or if you're not using the impression limit trigger, if you have these two ones left blank, the default bid will be assigned to all the targets without a conversion. All right. So if we don't want to look at impressions, if we just want to say, hey, everything that we're not really getting conversions on, we want to increase the bid to this, go ahead, do that. I would just recommend you just slowly increase. I think these two settings work very well. All right, so now that we have our bulk file in there, we've gone through our bid inputs, we've identified what we want to set for those. Now we're going to let the tool work its magic again and optimize our bids. So you're going to want to go to the menu and you click optimize bids. All right, so we're going to run the script, about to optimize bids. Yes, there we go. Again, let this tool work its particular magic. It's going to go through, it's going to keep running our script. You'll see the running script here. Again, same thing as before. Don't like click through the tool, let it do its thing. Once it's done, you will see it optimize, and then we can see finished script. Okay, now let's go through and look at this dashboard settings, because I think this is going to take you a level deeper and get you really intimate with your data, and understand how the performance is working on your account. So honestly, if you wanted to, you could simply go through, all right, so you got our bulk sheet, initialize the file, check our bid settings real quick, optimize bids. We could create the upload folder, upload it, boom, done. We're going to take it a step even further and start looking at what everything looks like in our particular account, okay? So these dashboard settings, which I completely ignored before because I wanted you to just keep this the way it was. However, I am going to go through and just kind of show you what these settings are, how they can be looked at, and how they can be used to like visualize your data and identify what's going on. Okay, so we have two kind of sections to this dashboard settings. All right, so the one is going to be poor performers. This is going to help us identify everything that is not so great on the account. Now the bids should be optimized for this, but you might want to go through and view what exactly those poor performers are, and then the same thing for the top targets and top things that are working. All right, poor performers. First off, we have bad click-through rate. So we have, and generally you could probably use these default settings, I think, and do very well. There are a couple of things you might want to tweak. For instance, if our click-through rate isn't all that great on your account anyways, maybe you want to make this lower, but generally speaking, I think it's pretty good. All right, so bad click-through rate is going to be high impressions and low click-through rate. Anything that people have seen a lot and they're just not clicking through might be something we want to take a look at. Oftentimes, I find this particular parameter helps you identify like really poor relevant keywords that maybe have gotten into your account through some way. And then we have high spend. Anything that has a lot of spend on it and no conversion, again, the bid parameter should be continuously bringing this down. However, you might want to like go through and check. It's possible you want to pause some things. And then high clicks. So you're going to have anything with a lot of clicks and no conversion. So these are our poor performers metrics here. And then what you can do is you can bulk filters. You can go click this poor performers tab. So anything that is performing like poop, we can it will automatically apply some filters for us, and then we can see what that looks like in our account. So again, the script is running. Once it's finished, it says, all right, so here's all your stuff. Here's everything with high impressions, low click-through rate, lots of spend, and no conversions. Here is it identified in a clean little list. Now you can look at your original bids. The original bids were these, and notice that the max bids have been adjusted. So most of the stuff has already been taken care of for us. But if you want to go through and take a look at maybe what these targets are, we have a lot of ASINs. Maybe some of these are, maybe that's not as relevant. If you went through and you watched my videos on like adjusting bids or what bulk files are, if this, like, what are these particular like tabs, what are these columns looking like what is this stuff, highly suggest you go and watch that. That will give you some really good insights into what all of these mean. But basically under our keywords and products, this is our keywords, and then these 3 columns right here are our status columns. So you see the campaign status is enabled, add a group status is enabled, and here under our status, this applies to the individual keywords. So, when you're inside Campaign Manager and you see like campaigns enabled, but then you can go to the ad group and that one can either be enabled or paused, and then you can go further down into the individual keywords and targets, see if they're enabled or not. That's basically what this is, but it's like the spreadsheet version. So if for whatever reason I decided this particular one, that's not relevant, or that's not something I want to keep advertising, what you could do is you can put paused. And in this case, it will go through, and when we create the output file, it will have paused in this particular cell. And then when we upload it to our account, that individual target is going to be paused. So if you want to take more drastic measures, or if, for instance, I decided I needed to lower this to 10 cents or wanted to manually adjust these bids, that's also an option as well. So you can see by how filtering these kind of gives us insight into like, okay, so maybe this is something that I wanted to adjust. All right. So the same exact thing goes for, these are kind of like our top things. These are the stuff is working. So this section helps us identify, okay, so what's not working so great. And then this other section identifies what is performing phenomenally, what is working. And maybe we want to manually go in and make some adjustments that will help maximize these, right? So we have our top targets, which are orders, the greater than 10. So we have 10 or more orders, and the ACoS is less than or equal to 45%. Now, this might be different for your account. So if you're doing a longer date range of bulk file, like in this instance, it's 60 days, you want to make sure that this the number of greater than orders is going to be a bit higher. So in this case, 10, I think, is a good number. But if you have, like, say, if you're only looking at like a much shorter date range, then you would want to go through and you would want to maybe put this to a bit lower number. So do keep that in mind. And then whatever ACoS makes sense for your account, you want to input that here. Top placements. So order is 2 times. This one, I think you could probably just leave. You might want to adjust the orders as well. So basically, like, what placements, so if you know the placement percentage adjustments, it's going to say which of these is working phenomenally. Maybe we want to start doing some slow increases to that. And then if you have anything top converting, so the conversion rate is 8%. And less than whatever ACoS makes sense for your account, whatever conversion rate makes sense for your particular account, okay? Now, these ones are 3 individual tools. So if we go down here to bulk filters and actions, we can look at top targets, top conversion rate. You want to look at your top placements for the top of search, or if you want to look at top placements for your product pages. So again, same thing. We're going to click on this. It's going to go through, it's going to work its magic. It's going to filter it for us and say, all right, here's all the stuff that's working phenomenal. Maybe we want to go through and we want to manually check those. What does our max bid look like? What was our previous bid? Were these increased enough? Were they increased too much? Like, let's take a look and see what that looks like. I think top placements is a really cool thing to look at. So again, bulk filters and actions, we can go to top placements for top of search. So this is basically just saying, where is top of search performing like extra good for us? And we might want to go through and manually adjust. Again, we can manually adjust the percentages for top of search. That is something you can do in bulk sheets. And so we can do it here. One thing to note is when it finds a good placement, so in this instance, we only have one thing that's working really well, top of search, better than anything else, we're only seeing one particular keyword. And the reason why we're only seeing one keyword in this case is because there's only a single keyword in this campaign, which I think works really well for a top of search. If there was more than one keyword contained in this campaign, the filters should display everything that is contained within the campaign. So do note that placement percentages are set on the campaign level. So if we went through and we adjusted that placement, that's going to apply to all of the keywords, everything contained within that campaign. So you do want to be careful there. How you would adjust this is under this particular tab, placement. Let's see, increase bids by placement. So this placement type shows us the top of search. And if I wanted to increase this, I can adjust this percentage. Make sure you leave this percentage sign. All right. But you can go through and you can adjust the percentage. So say I want to increase it by 20%. I am a huge fan of increasing things in increments, seeing how it's working, and then going through and maybe making further adjustments later. But if I wanted to adjust this top of search, I can do that as well. Again, same thing. I mean, you could just run through these filters, or maybe do it like once every other adjustment, or once in a while, just to see like, okay, where's the cream of the crop? Where's the bottom of the barrel? I need to take a look at what's been adjusted. I need to take a look at my performance on like a really individual level. And then I can go through and make some manual adjustments if I want to. All right, and then one other thing that I personally like to do when I adjust bids on account, if you go to all enabled targets, so this is basically just going to show us all of the keywords that are enabled in the account. I do like to go through and sort by sales, highest to lowest. This is one of my favorite things to do, and just see like what is my top sale keyword. So my original bid was 5 cents and it's upping it to 22 cents. And I kind of like to just peruse down this list and see like what is my ACoS, or you can also look at your top spenders. So I can sort by spend, highest to lowest, and see what has my top spend, what has the most ACoS. So notice that this one has higher ACoS and it has the most spend. It also has a lot of orders. I just like to kind of take a look at what bids are being adjusted on kind of like my top highest impact things. Sometimes I will go through and I'll just quickly maybe make a manual adjustment to whatever the bid change was. You could probably use this as is, but that's one of my favorite things to go through. Just quickly filter whatever outputs, because we want to use automations. Automations make our lives easier. It applies sensible logic, and we can tweak the inputs and then know that the logic is sound, and then it creates a good output. But I still like to manually look over the outputs and make sure that whatever changes were made to my bids and to my account are highly logical and will not negatively impact the account, I guess. All right, so now we're finally ready for the very last piece of the super magic, that is this tool. So we've gotten our bulk file, we initialize it, we optimize our bids, and now we can click this create upload file. So you want to click this particular button. You're about to create a revised bulk file. What it's going to do is it's going to pull out all the stuff, all of the changes we made. Again, if you paused anything, if you inputted a placement percentage adjustment, if you manually went through and you tweaked the max bid column to set like an individual bid, all of that good stuff is going to be pulled out. It's going to be put into a brand new file, and that file is going to be saved to that folder. Remember, we had to put that folder ID, so that is where the particular file is going to be saved to. Looks like our new bulk file was added. So you can click OK, and if you want to find your file, you can go back to, I think we can go to the upload file. Okay, so that should link us to the drive folder. And one thing to note, I made an oopsie when I was copying over this particular ID right here. You want to include, if there's any dashes or anything, you want to include every single thing after this folder's slash, all the information. All right, so this is our new output file, and you'll notice that it does have today's date. It says sponsored products upload, date, and then the time. So if you like go back and make a change and you're like, oh, I need to create a new output file, you can do that as well. So all you will have to do is click, right click, and then you can download this particular file to your computer. Then what you'll do is you will go back over to your bulk file tab inside of your sponsored products, and you can click choose file, select that file wherever it saves to your computer. It might be your downloads folder, but whatever that file was saved to when you downloaded on your particular computer, you'll click it, you will click upload, and then you should see it processing right below here. All right, so then your file should go through. It will make all of the changes to your account. All your bids are updating. Congratulations. Now, because this process is pretty simple, you should be able to go through, download a file, import it, make your changes, because generally speaking, your parameters will stay the same. You might check what the outputs are, and then you can simply create the file and go through and upload it. Once you have this thing down pat, this should take you maybe 5 minutes, and it could be done quite quickly, maybe 10 if you're really going to get in there and check a bunch of stuff. And there's a lot more sweet, awesome analytic options that are in that pro version. I might do an additional video demoing those. Let me know if you want that. I'm happy to do that. But because this is quite an easy process, and because we're looking at a much longer time period, we have the changes shouldn't be as drastic if you keep pulling like that long time period. So honestly, you can be doing this multiple times a week if you would want. And honestly, I suggest you do. It will help you just quickly like go closer and closer to your targets. So you kind of actually do this daily if you would like. Again, if you're doing it daily, make sure you're pulling longer time frames. In the beginning, you might do a 60 days, you might move towards the 30 days, and then keep optimizing that way. So hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions on this, feel free to put them in the chat below. And again, I will be linking to Adam Heist's videos on the keyword tool, and I'll be linking to the video he does on how you can get very, very specific with the individual adjustments you put at a keyword level, which is awesome. I will be linking to the FBAexcel website. I will be linking to where you can get your hands on the free version of this tool as well. And hopefully it is helpful, and happy optimizing.